3D Dragonfly Acrylic Nailer Tutorial by Hot Pink Zebra Polish. Hi everyone, in today's video I'm going to be showing you how I made this 3D Dragonfly and also doing a quick Born Pretty store review. And in the review I'm going to be showing a brush, some micro rhinestones, some nail art decorations, and some foil. So make sure you listen to that. And also for the design, it's really beautiful. It's this dragonfly that is sitting on top of the nail like he's hanging on with one stroke flowers in the background. It's a lot of fun. It's something that is good for practice if you're working on doing some advanced 3D stuff, but it isn't something that's practical that I would wear out and about in my life, because it would probably break and just cause you grief. So keep that in mind that you don't really want to wear it, and I hope you like this design, and don't forget to click subscribe to see my future videos as well. Here are the items that I'm reviewing from Born Pretty Store. Here is the foil, and so it's a clear foil base with some gold crackly looking stuff on top. And then I have these micro rhinestones, and I have 3 colors. I have clear, silver, and gold, and my absolute favorite is the clear one. It's this iridescent, gorgeous color. It's absolutely stunning. And then I have these, and I just want to mention these I'm not actually going to show you in this video, but I love them. They're amazing, and I love that they are concave, so they actually will sort of fit on your nail and fit the curvature of your nail so that they'll last so much longer than if they were flat. And they're a really nice quality, but their plastic baggie that they came in, I was afraid to tear a hole in it because it wasn't so good. But otherwise, the actual product is amazing. And then I have this. It's a brush that I bought for one stroke, so it's just a square brush that's really nice and really soft, which I absolutely love. So now I'm going to be creating an overlay on my nail, starting with a pale blue acrylic. And this is just the background, and so I'm just going to make it relatively thin. And as I mentioned, I'm not actually going to be wearing this nail at all. It's way too delicate, and it's more for show or for practice than anything else, so it can stay relatively thin, this first layer, because you don't have to worry about it being broken when you're driving your car or digging in your purse, because you won't be. And so if it's just for show or going to be put in a case on your wall or something, you can leave these relatively thin. And then I'm going to be adding a layer of clear acrylic on top of the blue just to protect it. And also, I do want my nail to have a little bit of thickness and a little bit of strength. It doesn't have to have a bunch, but something, because if I drop it at this point, I don't want it to break either. So, you have to balance out how much acrylic you really want to put on there. Just smooth that down, blend it over. And now I'm going to be filing it with a 180 grit file just to smooth out anything and thin it out if I need to, and just get rid of any bulk or lumps, bumps, and imperfections. And then I'm going to be buffing it with a 240 grit padded file, and this step is super important for this particular design. Make sure it is super, super smooth and remove all that dust. So then with my new flat brush, I'm just going to dip half of it in white and half of it in purple, and then brush it against my palette just to create a gradient on my brush, which will then transfer onto the design once I start painting my flowers. And to create one-stroke flowers, you want to try to hold your brush, and it takes lots of practice. And I do have a whole tutorial that goes through the basics of one-stroke painting that I will put in the description box, a link to it, if you want to know more about how I do it specifically, or just tips if you're having trouble. It's a technique that definitely takes a knack, so don't give up if you don't get it the first time. Keep trying. And then I'm going to add a second coat of paint to every petal. And so I just painted these flowers just along the top section of the nail. And I'm going to be adding a second layer of petals inside the first ones just to fill in the middle. And then I decided to outline my petals after I got the second coat on the middle with a thin line of white. And I really actually kind of regret doing this. I think they look so much daintier and prettier before I outlined them. It depends on the style you're going for. And usually, I almost always outline my flowers, and that's usually because the brush I was using before, my petals didn't have that smooth, really pretty, dainty appearance. They had to have an outline to fix them. With this new brush, I really do love it. It's really nice. I didn't have to, and I outlined them just out of habit, and I wish I didn't. But now I'm going to put a little bit of nail glue in the center of each flower and add a couple of those gold micro rhinestones, and just as the center decoration, I used 1 to 3 depending on how much space I had in the middle of my flower, and they look amazing. They catch the light, they're gorgeous. So now I'm going to add a layer of gel sealer, making sure I cover up all those micro rhinestones and seal them into place, and throw that into my lamp and cure it. So now on a nail form backing, I'm going to start my dragonfly, and I'm going to begin with his body. So I'm going to start with his head, and then I'm going to add his thorax, And now I'm going to be adding his abdomen. And so you want his head to be the smallest, and then each section gets bigger as it goes, but his abdomen is going to be really long and thin. And you want to make sure that you leave enough, or you make your thorax big enough so that you can attach your wings. So then I just took a Post-it note and drew out the shape of my wings that I wanted, and then I laid a nail form backing on top of it, and that'll let me see the drawing from underneath so that I can have a very clear idea of how big to make my wings and exactly what size, and they're all going to turn out exactly how I drew them. So as long as you know that your drawing is accurate, you're going to have a pretty good guess at what size to make your wings, because they're going to be exactly the size of the drawing underneath. So then I'm just going to sculpt my wings out with clear acrylic and then let them set and pop them off. And then I took just some poster putty and put on the back and attached them to my brush, and then applied a layer of nail foil glue and let that dry. And now I'm going to be using that cracked foil and making the veins in my wings. And this is where I'm going to talk about this foil. I hate this foil, and it's probably a strong word, but it did not want to release at all. I had to use so much pressure to get it to come off onto my wings, and even then it didn't come off completely. And so the reason I'm mentioning this is because if you were to do this on your own nails and you have to press so hard to get the design to come off, that would create a lot of pressure on your nail bed, which isn't really a good thing. So I was not a big fan of this. So now I'm going to go back to my Dragonfly on my nail form backing, and I'm going to place these two nail implements just on either side of it as a spacer to then lay my wings on so that they are tipped up a little bit so that they're not just flat down, so they have a little bit more dimension. And you can just leave those little nail implements there until that acrylic that you're attaching your wings with has set. So I put a little bit of pink acrylic down, and then I set my wings into it. And then once the acrylic sets, my wings will be attached, and they will be in that perfect shape, tipped up like that. Add just a little bit more acrylic on top. And I'm just going to add some more acrylic down my entire Dragonfly just to thicken him up, because I don't want him to be super thin, because then you're really going to have a good chance of breaking it. And now I'm going to add another just oval next to it that's the same size as his thorax. And now I'm going to be covering up the main body of my Dragonfly with just some glittery pink hard gel. And then I'm going to use as my glue, so I'm going to not cure it at first, and I'm going to be placing 2 black rhinestones for my Dragonfly's eyes on the side of his head. And then I'm going to take some of those silver micro rhinestones and place them down his abdomen, just down in a straight line, kind of like a little Dragonfly mohawk. And like I said, these are amazing. This Dragonfly catches the light and is so sparkly because of these micro rhinestones. They're stunning. They're amazing. And then I'm going to cover the Dragonfly after you cure the hard gel with a layer of gel sealer and cure it again. And now I'm going to cut 6 pieces of purple thread for my legs and then tie a knot in the center of each piece of thread. And this definitely, you could cut your pieces of thread larger, and then it'd be easier to tie them and you can just trim them off. I decided to make things difficult on myself, and I cut them fairly small and then struggled to get the knot tied. What can you do? So then I'm going to take some clear acrylic and place it on the underside of my Dragonfly, and then with the tweezers I'm going to grab a leg and attach it. And push the leg into that clear acrylic so that it really stays. And if you need to, you can always add just a little bit more. So I did the 2 legs on the outside and then put the one in the center. And then I'm going to repeat the process for the other side of my Dragonfly. And if your knot has a clear direction of what side, because I usually bend a little bit, you want it to bend so that the legs are going up at this point since your Dragonfly is upside down. Add a little bit more clear acrylic and place that oval that you made before just to protect those legs. And now I'm going to be making the little spacer that's on the nail, so I'm going to take a bead of clear acrylic and place that down and then press it in from side to side, just going back and forth, pressing and pressing until it creates like a little nub that's sticking up. And so that way you can set your Dragonfly on top of that little spacer of acrylic. So just add a little more acrylic and then grab your Dragonfly and set him on there. That way he's not directly on the nail and it looks like he is standing up on his legs, because you really don't see that clear spacer underneath, and it creates an amazing effect. So then grab a little bit of more nail glue and glue down his legs on the edges of the nail. And if you do need to trim your legs, make sure that you do this, and if you do it after, make sure you don't glue the part you want to trim onto the nail, because then it's going to be attached and you won't be able to get rid of it. and then you are all set. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you like this design. Please share any recreations with me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I would really love to see them. And also check out the description box for a coupon code for Born Pretty store. I'll see you in my next video. Bye!